the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Duncan, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Yes, let us say grace. Heavenly Father, we thank you again, most of all, for your goodness and your kindness and your mercy. We thank you for life, health, and strength. We thank you for your many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. And most certainly, we thank you, ask you to continue to bless this town, continue to watch over. And most of all, your wonderful angels that stay low unto you. Let the words of our mouth be acceptable unto you, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen.
Amen. Mrs. Bond, we do have a quorum tonight, all members present. I'll ask the members of the board to look over the agenda. We're going to have some additions and deletions. Mr. J, you have some additions and deletions?
Yes, Mayor, I would ask that item 17B, the change order related to Oakland Park, I would ask that be deferred until your December meeting. And then, I guess it would be item 17, a new paragraph G. There's a memo on the podium in front of you about some duct cleaning here in City Hall. I'd like to ask the board to consider that tonight.
All right, we will make that G then, okay? Any member of the board have anything you wish to add? Okay, hearing none. I have one. I'd like to add an H. I'd like to add the consideration of changing the name of Cypress Creek Park to Cypress Creek Veterans Park. I'd like the board to consider that tonight. Any other changes to the agenda? Then I'll take a motion for approval of the agenda when you're ready.
Make a motion to approve it with the changes.
Have a motion from Mr. Cates to approve the agenda with additions. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll ask you to move down now and review the regular meeting minutes for October 20th, please. When you have an opportunity, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion.
Have a motion from Mr. Cates. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Duncan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll ask you to move to the special meeting minutes for October 31st. I'll take a motion when ready.
To accept as written.
Okay. Have a motion, Mr. Duncan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. At this time, we're going to take a minute to recognize our two aldermen who are leaving the board. I'm going to ask them to join me down front. I'll slide by you, Mr. Fisher. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Duncan, if you'll join me, Mr. Hahn. Duncan, we're going to do you first because you're the veteran of this thing. You've been around a long time. Turn this way, please. I want to read the plaque says in recognition of Greg Duncan, Alderman, Town of Oakland, December 2016 to November 2022. Sir, it's been a pleasure working with you. Mr. Hahn. In recognition of Todd Hahn, Alderman, Town of Oakland, from November 2020 to November 2022. Mr. Hahn, it's been a pleasure working with you.
Yes, sir.
Thank this time, we will move into citizens' comments. Any citizen of Oakland can be heard on items and concerns not included on the agenda for tonight. Citizens can be recognized by the chair and come to the front of the courtroom. Speakers shall limit their comments to 3 minutes unless allowed by the chair. Speakers shall limit their comments to 1 subject. Do we have any citizens who'd like to speak tonight? Yes, sir, come forward. Please state your name and your address for the record, sir.
Sir, my name is Larry DeChannette. My address is 705 Blackhampton Drive. I have one item I need your support on. I want to ask in advance. There is development going on behind our subdivision, and I'm all for the growth of Oakland. I'm a capitalist like everybody in this room, and I understand the builder needs to make a living too. But I have one request. All the clear cutting, do not permit burning behind our property line.
Okay.
The last time burning was done, it filled up our house with smoke. I went up in the ER with an asthma attack. I had bad asthma, really bad lungs. I carry a rescue inhaler everywhere I go. That's just how bad it is.
Okay.
I'm asking the board to deny any burn permits, ban burning that close to our homes.
Okay,
It is literally within yards of us.
okay,
Okay? Second item, noise. I understand the noise ordinance says no construction on the weekends.
that is correct, sir.
I asked for that to be enforced. Again, I know the builder's got a job to do. He's got a short period of time to do it in, but, I mean, we hear noise Monday through Friday nonstop. Don't think it's too much to ask to have a little peace and quiet on the weekends.
Okay, sir.
Other than that, I support, again, the growth of Oakland. I support the development going on, and that's my only ask for this board.
Okay, sir.
That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Hunt?
I have a question, for the fire chief.
Yes, sir.
Chief Walls, it's, November, and, that's, they would have to pull a permit to burn, correct?
Any burning, except for the fire pit, personal fire pit, things like that, have to have a permit, yes.
Don't it all depend on which way the wind's blowing to before they can burn?
Well, yes, but we have a zero impact tolerance for the citizens. No citizen should be impacted by somebody else's action. Matter of fact, Friday, I met with representatives from this company talking about burning, what the possibilities were. They have subdivisions both north and south of them. It's just not practical to burn in that area. As Oakland grows, it's not a wide spot road anymore. We're getting so dense that industrial burning is really going to become a thing of the past.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we go down there and check them out if they're burning. Asthma is very serious, and they're burning pretty close if he went to the emergency room. That's too close.
Yes.
If it catches them houses on fire, good grief.
Yeah, like I said, we met with him Friday,
Okay.
and I told him then that we just can't do it. Especially in that area, because there's no way you cannot have an impact
Yeah.
one way or another.
Thanks, sir.
Right.
All right. Mr. Johnson, I would request that you have one of our code enforcement people start working on Saturdays. And I would request that they, start issuing fines or summonses, whatever the proper terminology is, to stop this. I think it's extremely important. Our builders, we have worked with them, and they have worked with us on sewer and water and all the things of that nature. But we've got to stop this working on Saturday.
And Sunday.
Whatever, and Sunday, obviously Sunday, yeah. But whatever it takes to get it stopped, we need to do it. So would you please get with code enforcement and arrange for one of our people to be working on Saturday? I realize that they may have to take Monday off or whatever. I'll leave that up to you and the code enforcement people. Yes, I will. I think the board would concur with me on this.
Well, I got
I could have sworn we already designated that for the weekend, having somebody from code,
We did that back, I'm going to say late summer.
and we quit? Why?
Well, it
They
takes
stopped
away-
building?
No, it takes away from the time in the week. I mean, they have other duties, but when we have specific instances like this, we can make the arrangements.
I got, a-
For the time, ongoing time being, I would like this done for several months, and if you decide to change it back, please let us know, and we can see how the citizens are, how things are going. If you do that for me, I'd appreciate
I
it.
got a comment, Mayor, when you get time.
Yes, sir, Mr. Gates.
We're running into this where if they citation, they pay $50 and then keep working. Is it some way we not can change our ordinance to where if this, give everybody a warning on the front end, and if it happens, just void the contract till they can decide not to do it?
Mr. Gates, if you would permit me to answer you this way, I have asked Mr. Johnson today in January for us to set up a workshop to look at some of the things like this and have Mr. Tom there, and we were gonna address all of them at one time. If that's all right with you.
That's the only way we're gonna stop it. $50 is not gonna stop anybody from working.
You're absolutely correct on that. I personally have talked to some developers, and they said, I'll write you a check, I'm not stopping. The $50 is not.
Right.
Well,
This is not uncommon, or this is not just common to Oakland. The way that the town's ordinances are enforced, where there's a limit on the fines that can be imposed by the city court judge, who has very limited jurisdiction, is to get injunctive relief through Chancery Court, which takes place a lot throughout the state by municipalities. So there's a lot of Chancery Court can do.
Okay, we will
That's fine.
address that at that time, it's all right. Is the police chief out there? Larry, one of you out there? Sir, I need a favor. It's brought to my attention right at the start of this meeting that we've got a contractor with a heavy equipment on our streets out there violating our law on that too. Would you please ask your officers to be on the lookout for that, and let's start issuing some tickets?
Yes, sir. We already sent a car over there and checked into it.
Okay. I guess what I'm speaking for me, but I think I'm speaking for the board too. We want to work with our contractors, we want to work with our builders, but we want them to work with us also. And we've got to take care of our citizens.
Will do.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anybody else have a comment before we move on?
one question real quick.
Yes, sir.
So you said it's a $50 citation. Is there a limit on how many citations can be written?
One per day.
One per day. That's the legislation that needs to be changed.
We need to address that issue. We will in January.
Excuse me,
Yes.
Would have to be
yeah,
done in Nashville.
Well,
It's-
yeah, but we'll talk with you about that at the meeting and workshop.
excuse me, what order to finish talking?
Sir?
Order, anyone else who wanted to talk?
Any other, thank you, Mr. Duncan. Does any other member of the audience wish to address the board? Not, then we will move on from that. The mayor has no comments at this time. I've already made my comments. Any aldermen have comments they wish to make?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Cates, recognize you, sir.
I'd like to recognize Aiden. He's a Boy Scout. He's working on the project if he wants to come to the front of the
Sir,
room.
come to the podium, would you please?
He's working on a project for his
They just got another one.
Eagle.
Don't worry about it, young
Take your
man.
time.
Don't worry about it. Just lean it against the wall there, don't worry about it.
I think he's got a good idea, and I told him to present it to the board.
Okay. Young man, if you would, state your name and where you live for the record, and then proceed.
My
My name is Aiden Livesay, and I'm from 20 Windy Cove. I'm from Troop 133 here in Oakland. I'm working on achieving my Eagle Scout rank, and my project will be a flag retirement box. This box will be located at the First Baptist Church, and it will be open to the public. Once this project is completed, I intend to hold a ceremony which will include veterans and will be open to all members of the community. I'll be putting the event in the fake Falcon once my project is completed.
Okay?
Go ahead.
Would anyone like to see the project?
Yes, I think you should tell us about the project, yes, sir.
What it's made out of, how big it is.
This is
Just let them walk it through every member there, right?
On the neighbor scale.
Very nice.
Is this for retired flags?
yes, sir.
Well, you know, that is a project that I'm glad to see done, because I had to find a place for two the other day that retired flags, and finally got the police chief, the fire chief was going to have the ceremony in Barnum. So I'm glad to see you're doing that, sir. That's a good project.
Do you have any idea about when you'll be finished with it, Aiden?
I do not, but sometime in December probably.
Okay.
Well, when you get the project finished, come back and let us know, and we enjoy hearing from you again.
Thank you, buddy.
Sir.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Any other members, any alderman other than alderman have a comment? Mr.
If
Hines?
I could go before you, Mr. Hahn, I'd appreciate it. And first of all, I want to personally thank you and Mr. Duncan for serving on the board. Everybody's unique that comes here, but it takes a lot of wear and tear, especially on your family. And I just want to thank you for your service, and don't be a stranger. Come up here, and now I also want to recognize Ms. Hummel and Adrian Wiggins, and to let the public know that they will be sworn in on December the 1st here. And invite everybody to come out and see them. Thank y'all for caring, thank you for running, and I look forward to working with both of you.
All right. Mr. Hines?
I'd say something for you. I want to,
They're not gonna let you talk, Mr. Hines.
I want
Why don't
to,
I just tell you what I wanna say, y'all say it?
I just want to thank you and Mr. Duncan. It's been a privilege working with you guys. And I just, it's like Ken said, it's a strain on everybody, especially your family, and I appreciate what y'all done.
All right, now, Mr. Hines, we'll try again.
Everybody else. I just wanted to thank the citizens, for taking a shot on me. Thanks to all y'all putting up with me up here for 2 years. I've learned a lot. You know, and it's a tough job. It's a thankless job. So, my hat's off to you guys, and, I'm glad to say I served on the board.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Anyone else?
Certainly, we are grateful, and most certainly we are thankful. We have a lot of history. We do. We have went through many challenges. Some have moved on, and others, unfortunately, have left us. But we are thankful that we went through a new challenge with administration. I think this is the first. It is the first time the city of Oakland have an administration, and most certainly, I can say, a age man that have experience and went through the ropes, and most certainly he can help our town to continue to go further and further, because as our red, white, and blue said, if we're not united, we will not stand. And appreciate the mayor working with him 2 years, and he brought better onto to the chair, to the chair. He from the school system because it's a different when you're dealing with children. It is, and I tell you, but we are just thankful and just grateful to be able to serve, and thank everyone that voted for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right, I believe that's it, and unless someone has a follow-up comment, not, we will move on. Mr. J.
Department head?
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Department heads, any of you have something you wish to address the board on tonight? Hearing nothing from them, I'll move on to you, Mr. J.
I have 3 items, please. This is all information. First, you're all aware that we've begun a update to the town's major thoroughfare plan. We're gonna have a virtual open house on Monday. I didn't write the date down. It's either 5th or 6th, and from 6 to 7 p.m. And it's gonna be one of those come and go virtual things where they're gonna talk about the plan, the planning process, and what that involves. The information on the link, it will be virtual. The information link will be released next week. Where's Ed? Ed is coordinating this on behalf of the city. Second,
There he is.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm just.
You'll be
having
coordinating-
spasms, so I have to walk.
the virtual open house on December,
December 5th. I believe it's gonna be 6 o'clock. It'll be about 30 to 45 minutes, but we'll confirm the time. We'll have the announcement out on the website first part of next week.
Second, we have a new program where you can pay your property taxes online with a credit card. That is now live. You go to the City of Oakland, Town of Oakland website. There's a link there, and you can pay your property taxes by credit card if you wish. Last but certainly not least, I think many of you are aware, at our new Building and Codes Department office space on 64 East, we have had a nightmare in coordinating the internet and telephone service. The wiring was completed yesterday, and we should be live tomorrow.
Tomorrow, no later than Monday afternoon.
So, we really regret the inconvenience this has caused, but, Yvonne and I have just been after these companies relentlessly, and they just haven't been responsive. We've been given dates, and nothing happened, but we should be live this week or by Monday.
While you're on that subject, how much longer is the license place gonna be closed over here?
At least probably 2 more weeks.
I thought it was only 2 weeks to start with.
It's taken us longer to get the quotations and alter. There was a problem with the flooring at the entrance, and we had to get quotes to repair that. We could not do it in-house.
Well, the longer we hold that up, the harder it is on our citizens.
I agree. But we don't want a situation where someone falls in the lobby of a city building. And so we've got to repair the floor.
Cars plus it's been a long time coming.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda are deemed by the mayor and board of aldermen to be non-controversial and routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. The items on the consent agenda will not be individually discussed. Any member of the board, or mayor or board of aldermen, or town staff desiring to discuss the items on the consent agenda may request that it be removed and placed in regular agenda. It will then be placed on the agenda in its regular order requested. We have two items on the agenda, on the consent agenda tonight. Item A is Resolution 22-155, authorizing agreement for the purchase of power with Chickasaw Electric for Cypress Creek Park ball field lighting in the deposit amount of $4,525. Item B is acknowledgement receipt of NPDES permit number TN 0077836, Oakland wastewater treatment plant. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion approved by Vice Mayor Sutton. Have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to old businesses, ordinances on second and final readings. I will declare a public hearing now open on ordinance 2218, amending the fiscal year 2022-23 annual budget. Does anybody wish to speak on this? Seeing nobody wishing to speak, I will declare the meeting closed. And Mr. Jay, would you like to discuss this any with the board?
Motion to hear the ordinance.
I'm sorry about that. Thank you, sir. Have a motion to hear the ordinance. Now,
This ordinance reallocates funds from fiscal year '22 into 2023. This is related to capital projects that were not complete at the end of the fiscal year. There's no new money or no new projects authorized with this ordinance. It's strictly reallocating existing project funding into the new fiscal year.
It's carried over from 21,
No, this is from '22.
22. Make a motion to pass.
have a motion for Mr. Case. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second for Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to B, declare a public hearing open on ordinance 2222, rezoning 7.64 acres west of Highway 194 and north of Lakeview Drive from neighborhood commercial district B1 to low-density residential R1. Anyone wish to speak on this? Hearing no one wishing to speak, I will declare the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion to hear the ordinance?
Make a motion to hear it.
Have a motion for Mr. Cates. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to that, Mr. Jay, do you have anything you wish to add to this?
I would simply point out this is the owner's request, and it represents a significant downzoning from a commercial to a residential use for this property.
This one right down here on 194,
Yes, the north end of it, just past the golf course.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton. Do I have a second? Have a second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Moving on, under old business. Have a motion to hear resolution 22-143.
make a motion to hear.
Have a motion for Mr. Case. All right, Mr. Jay, you want to talk about this resolution on Cross Creek subdivision?
I will start it, but you may want to hear from the planning director and the fire chief. This was on your agenda last month, and it was deferred to this month on a question about fire department access. The planning director and the fire chief have met, and they concur that this ordinance or this plan can move forward.
Chief Webb?
Ed?
I'd like to hear from both of them.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You and Mr. Ed, could you come in, please? Like your comment on this Cross Creek subdivision phase 3?
Yes, sir. Last month I recommended continuance because it was brought to me about the fire access issue, about the second access point. I conferred again with the fire chief. The way that this development occurred it had a one off of Laurel Street. It started at the very end, and as the development is occurring closer, it's actually reducing the potential problem. This particular section or phase to it will actually mitigate by
concur? All right. Any questions from the board?
I got a question.
All right, Mr. Fisher, please.
You concur? Can you say what he said?
Well, he's talking about the access way it comes in. The initial design of the subdivision wasn't very good anyway, as far as fire access.
That's correct.
But at that time, there was nothing, to enforce or any guidelines that were done. The way this street goes in, it will actually allow you to cut over across the top. And as you go down, it actually gets better where every section joins together. The main part is toward the front, where those people are actually isolated. They've been built for 10 years, so there's really nothing you can do about that. But this will allow access we need,
Now we have accesses everywhere.
not toward the front. but there's-
Only
after
except the
that,
front.
Yes, after that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Tom, you looked at this? What's your opinion on it?
Well, there's not a lot of legal issues to address. I relied more on what Chief Walls and what Ed had to say. And, you know, they took the last month to, go over this. I don't question their judgment on it.
Actually, by developing this one, they have a secondary road that's closer, that lessens the impact for it, because the way our fire code has it, that between 1 and 29 units, you're allowed to have one road in. After your 30th unit, you need to have a second access point, or you could sprinkle all the buildings, you know. And in this case, they've met that first requirement. They don't need to sprinkle it unless that's what they choose to do.
I make a motion to pass it on their recommendation.
Have a motion for Mr. Cates. Do I have a second?
Second.
Next second for Mr. Fisher. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, moving on. Take a motion to hear first reading of ordinance 2223.
So moved.
A motion from Mr. Hahn. Mr. J.
This is a recommendation from the Oakland Planning Commission at the owner's request to rezone 40.79 acres from B1 Neighborhood Commercial to R2SF Plan Development and approving the general development plan. This is another situation where part of the property was zoned residential, part of the property was zoned commercial. This puts all of the property in the residential category that is under this ownership. Now, there's other property that's under different ownership that still has commercial zoning to the south, but this puts all of this property under one owner as residential PD.
Board needs to approve the first reading.
Yes, the public hearing would be December 15th.
Okay. Take a motion when you're ready.
Make a motion to pass first reading.
Have a motion for Mr. Cates. Have a second. Have a second for Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, consideration of resolutions. Have a motion to hear resolution 22-156.
Make a motion to hear it.
Have a motion to hear resolution 22-156. Mr. J.
I want to speak clearly here. This is a change order that is a deduct to the original contract in the amount of $19,400, and it would authorize final payment to Fowler for the paving that was done this summer. And
Did all the work,
the reason for the deduct is the quantities were slightly less than originally estimated.
but all the work.
All the work's done.
Is that the list you sent to me?
It was the attachment, no, that's the work, that's the list of streets that were in our paving program. Not all of them were bid. The streets that were bid are on the change order itself.
Well, these, all of them wasn't complete, right?
Right, when that list was prepared, they weren't. You asked for the list that we were working off of.
Right.
That's what it is.
Okay.
But this included Lakewood Drive, Section B of the Waters, Oak Ridge Drive and Riverwood Gardens, Oak Ridge Drive and Oakland Hills. I believe that's it.
Okay.
But all this work has been completed.
Have a motion, Vice Mayor Sutton, to approve. Do I have a second? Have a second, from Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
You opposed? Okay, moving on. Have a motion to hear Resolution 22-158, authorizing application to the state of Tennessee to conveyance to the town of Oakland surplus TDOT right-of-way 194, authorizing the mayor to execute application and agreement. Motion to hear.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Hahn. Mr. J, you want to talk about this, or?
I could begin.
Okay.
Many of you remember when the new 194 was constructed, the old 194 right-of-way has been retained by TDOT, specifically that section in front of Oakland Elementary School. This resolution would authorize the mayor, the town of Oakland, to request TDOT convey that right-of-way to the town. I've done this before. It could take months, but this is the first step to begin that process.
Why do we want it?
That's what I was gonna ask. What do we need it for? We got a highway there.
I will answer it this way. We can mow it, we can take care of it. At some point, it's gonna be needed by that school, and we need to have it in our possession. And that's the reason that I asked Mr. J and Tom to look at this. I think it's important that we do get control of that piece of land.
But you would think that,
It's a ditch.
that property that Bo has with the flags on there would be the main property we would want. Now, if this is just an extension of it, but like, Vice Mayor said, it's a ditch.
No, it's a roadway.
It's a
Road bed.
50-foot right-of-way, and part of it is level. Now, part of it is a ditch. But it's an unbuildable lot that was created by the construction of the new road. And TDOT has not previously given up ownership of the property. They still own it.
If we're not in a hurry for this, I'd like to table this to next month till we can get more information
May
on
I
it.
make a comment about this to the board? In my opinion, Senator Wally has really helped out in getting to the bottom of this, because working through TDOT is not easy. And through his staff, he was able to get TDOT to acknowledge that TDOT owns it and that it is probably surplus property. In my opinion, there is no downside to the town being authorized to make the application. It's not obligating the town to acquire it, but at least it ultimately might provide a way to get the property either into the town's hands or the school board's hands as opposed to TDOT. And then that would also allow the ability to work with this gentleman that Alderman Fisher is referring to. I don't see, again, I'm just giving you my opinion, I don't see a downside to at least making the application.
Well, what does the school board want? Do they want that property?
Probably eventually they may want it, but they are not in the position to acquire it at this point.
In the hierarchy of TDOT's surplus property, a city or county is given first preference compared to another government agency or to a private landowner. But once it's the towns, then if we're able to obtain it, I think that then it becomes, we can determine what the best.
School wants it, we'll give it to them.
I've got pictures on my phone when we were cutting that and weed eating that ditch. I got pictures of 3 Oakland trucks there. And the manpower that's been spent on that already, we're the very board, most of us on here, that stopped that from maintaining it because it was costing the taxpayers money. It has absolutely no value to the town. I do understand what you're saying, Mr. Minor, that we're just saying we're making an application for them to declare it surplus property. And so we are not taking any risk by requesting them to declare it. And then maybe the county, which if they join that property and want that property, then maybe if it's declared surplus, then the county could apply for it for the school, if they so wish. But I don't see the town of Oakland getting involved in a piece of property that's just gonna cost, taxpayers money. Y'all know how I feel about it. But I don't see any problem with requesting them to make it surplus property if it's not gonna obligate us to take it over.
I'll withdraw my motion then.
If it's not gonna cost us anything just to apply, what's the harm in applying? And eventually, if it does become surplus and the schools want it, we can sell it to them.
And if I may, one caveat, we're asking them to provide this application as a government transfer.
Of course.
If they come back and say they want,
Money.
$25,000, then I think that changes the equation.
Of course.
$25,000, it's gonna cost you that to take it over.
Well,
I mean, that-
He's just throwing a number out.
Whatever, I mean, the fact of the matter is, it has no monetary value whatsoever, and the only thing it's gonna do is cost people open money to take it over and start cutting it again. We just now got to where we're not cutting it a few years ago. I reported to the comptroller's office that we was cutting. Took pictures of all our vehicles up there and employees up there cutting land that wasn't ours. And so, I'm certainly not for acquiring.
I also turned it in to T.
I don't think there's any harm in applying.
If I'm off base here, but who's mowing it now? Because if we're not, who's mowing it now?
I don't know. We're not.
Maybe Bo.
Maybe nobody.
I don't know.
No, he ain't doing it.
And somebody with public works here?
No.
Eric here?
See, Ronnie's, I thought Ronnie.
We don't cut.
Thank you. That was stopped by 2 years ago, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank
That
you.
was when Teresa Kelly owned that
Correct.
other sliver of
Yeah.
property right there.
The point that I would ask you to consider, if we got control of it, we could give it to the school, and they could use it, and then they would be responsible for cutting.
What are they gonna use it for, Mayor?
Well,
You can't build anything on it. It's not a-
well, you can't right now, but if they expand that school, they may make it a parking area or something of that nature.
A
There's
front parking lot.
There's
the county-
potential for it for the school, not necessarily us.
This looks like a county project.
That's what I say. The county ought to get involved in this.
Try my best. So it is the board's decision that we will not apply for the land? Or do you want us to apply for it? Give me an answer.
The way the attorney explained it to me is we're just requiring it for it to be a government-to-government transfer. So if we make the application, the county can still buy the property if they approve a government-to-government
Transfer.
application. Is that true?
Yeah, this would just allow the town to make application for it. It would not obligate the town to take title to it.
But if we make application, the county can't acquire the property.
Well, they can make an application as well.
Well, they're not gonna take it.
They're not gonna make the application. The town has the highest priority to make it because it's in our corporate limits, but
But we keep, excuse me, we keep using the school for an example. The county has control of the schools.
the county does not own, school board property. The school board owns its own property. So it's not county-owned property. The Oakland Elementary property is owned by the Fayette County Board of Education.
But if they want to use it, they should be the one to apply for it.
Or if they want it.
Well,
And you're saying we have first refusal.
I'm not an expert on this. I am going by the attorney that I've been working with Senator Wally's office, who does know a lot more about this than I do. I can certainly, if y'all want to table it, I can go back to this attorney and talk to him about whether or not the school board has the equal opportunity to make the application.
I'm gonna go back and make a motion that we table it to next month.
Have a motion, Mr. Case, to table next month. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Yes.
Got one opposed, Mr. Fisher. Ms. Vaughn. Moving on. Resolution 22-159, authorizing an addendum to Hickory Woods Estates Section 7 Subdivision Development Agreement, Highway 64 Sewer Board. Have a motion to hear.
So moved.
Here.
Have a motion from Mr. Hahn, Mr. J.
And Blake Corcoran may help me with this. The developer of Hickory Woods Section 7 needs to bore under US 64 to reach the sewer line that exists on the south side of the road. The town of Oakland has a running bond and agreement for utilities under Highway 64. We would be the applicant for this work. The developer would do it to our standards. And then, of course, once it's complete and meets our standards, we accept the improvement going forward. So that's what this is what this is doing.
Look like they're already doing it.
That's the gas company.
Okay. I saw them down there today.
That's the gas company.
Does the town pay for this, or do they pay for it?
They will pay for it.
Well, if this is a utility agreement, wouldn't that include gas?
Our request, no, our bond is for water and wastewater.
So they put up their own bond. for it.
I'm guessing they do. I don't know.
There's a plan of service going down there, isn't there?
Yes, sir.
When are we gonna fix that from 2015? Or 15 years ago, should I say? I mean, the residents down there were given a plan of service and yet have not been fulfilled. But yet we wanna start boring between things, and we haven't even done our due diligence on the 15 years ago plan of service that we gave that whole area. That was the reason we got rid of Fayette Packing, because we couldn't provide services. Now, all of a sudden, we can provide services for 1,600 dwellings and commercial property, but we haven't even done anything with the plan of services. Please explain that to me.
Well, it's not
Anybody.
costing us money. This right here, they're getting it to your side of the road now, and
We
it's
got,
not costing the town any money to do it.
that's not true.
But how is it not true?
It is gonna cost us money. He's gonna do one thing, but guess what? We are still paying for things. Nothing's free. I don't know where everybody thinks everything's free. It's gonna cost us. Just because we don't say it out loud, it's gonna cost us. I wanna know where the plan of services for the service that we were provided or promised 15 years ago. Tell me that, and I can go ahead and do this. The board's gonna pass it, okay?
Sir,
But I wanna know where it's gonna be. Where's the plan of services? 4 of them.
Mayor,
Mr. J.
if I may, I believe Section 7 was already in the corporate limits. There was no plan of service related to the development of Section 7. Now,
I don't know where I live in
You-
section, but
if you'll recall, you're in the city, then there's a gap that's not, and then there was a parcel, for lack of
I've got that.
that came around the north side.
I've got that.
Okay.
I just wanna know when are the plan of services, even just for my 6 houses, you guys, the town promised. I just wanna know when they're gonna do it.
Well,
Well,
once,
right now, we're doing everything around, but we're not doing what we're supposed to
If-
plan in 15 years ago.
once this bore is under the highway, then sewer becomes feasible for the port of Hickory With that's inside the city limits.
Okay. So we wanna approve something around us, but then we're gonna have to come back and beg to get something done to run sewer to our dwellings.
I wouldn't agree with the word beg.
Okay, whatever you say. I'm just trying to make a statement.
This will make it a lot easier for y'all to get it, Jeff, having it on that side of the highway.
We, okay.
And
This is
if
the
Mr.
seventh.
Swank did not bring this to the board, what was it? When did you bring it back? A couple years
Wait a
ago.
minute, Mr. Fisher.
Okay.
Wait a minute now.
I'm gonna let me finish.
I'm gonna let you finish, but don't be
Okay.
calling people out names right now. Okay?
If he would've brought that to us then, and had we done it then, we wouldn't even be here today asking about all this. It would've already been under there.
We can't
We
change.
owe the people down there what we promised them.
Okay? I think you
Go ahead.
stated that.
But there was no line to hook it to at that time, Jeff. That line just got put down in the last few years on sewage west. to the
It should have been
interstate.
done
So you
15
could've
years
bored it-
ago.
You could have bored it across, but there'd been nothing to hook it to.
15 years ago.
Mr. Fisher, we know you're 15 years. You
Well, then,
stated-
well, don't have somebody
Let
trying,
somebody else
don't-
speak, and then I'll come back to you.
well, when they're gonna
When I'll
criticize,
come back to
then they're
you.
gonna do
The
it.
thing about it,
Mr. Sutton.
Mayor, here's the bottom line on what he's saying, okay? And it includes anybody else down there. Water and sewage stands on its own. The only thing that pays for that is when you get your water and sewage bill. I've been paying mine since 2010,
Because you
and
get
he
both,
hadn't paid any.
because you get
Are
both.
you gonna
So
stop
he hadn't
interrupting?
paid any.
Please.
And so if you hadn't had to pay for it, you ought not be complaining that much. I mean, it ain't like you've been paying for water and sewage and not getting what you paid for.
Can I make a
Okay,
comment?
I'm gonna get yours, and then I'll come back to Mr. Fisher for rebuttal.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He keeps saying this, that 15 years ago, this board didn't have it, we wasn't even here 15 years ago. We can't go back and change what should have been done. I can see his point, but we can't go back now and change what should have been done 15 years ago. That's in the past.
Okay? Mr. Fisher,
I disagree with that. Things changed in the past. If it ain't done in the past, we can't update it today. But we should say, oh, well, they didn't do it, so we shouldn't do it. That's not relevant.
I
When
didn't say
somebody
that.
says, if it was 15 years ago, they should have done it 15 years ago. But because they didn't do 15 years ago, we're here today asking, well, let's bore it now. And then we can hook it up.
I don't think, I'm
No, but I
confused. Are
paid-
they asking us to board?
I paid, I paid,
They're not asking us
to
to
get the
board.
thing.
Right, now it's getting bored. He interrupted me.
I know, and
go ahead.
Get him finished,
Go ahead,
and I'll
say
come
what you
back to
want. I'll shut up and listen.
All right,
No, I want him to finish.
okay.
It's not costing us to get this done, Jeff. and you
Nobody's
say-
saying it's costing us.
Yes, you did. You said it's gonna cost
No,
us.
I said it's gonna cost somebody.
You need to listen to
Okay.
the recording. You said
It's gonna
nothing's
cost
free.
somebody.
Mayor, point of
You think
order.
it's free, it's
All
not
right.
free.
Okay,
order.
gentlemen.
That's what I said.
Gentlemen,
Somebody's gonna pay for
Point
it.
of order.
gentlemen, let's stop now. We have it established that somebody's gonna pay for it. We have established that right now the board will be paid for by the developer. We have established your unhappiness with this, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Sutton has responded as what he thought was proper. It is now time to vote on the resolution. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Have a motion to pass, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Of course,
Fisher is opposed, Mr. Vaughn.
I'm not opposed to it until we get a plan of service done. Then you can have it.
You have stated that 3 times.
Don't make light of it.
I'm not making light of it.
Yes,
I'm
you just
telling
did.
you just have to keep
Don't
Out
make
of order.
light of it.
Out of order.
Point of order.
Point of order, my ass.
We're gonna take a 5-minute break, folks. We are in adjournment for 5 minutes. Jeff, get your ass. Now, this is ridiculous.
Don't let them talk and not let me talk,
I let you talk. I let you say everything you wanted to say.
okay?
You need to stop being cussing like that. That was not appropriate. You know this.
Look at it, it's bullshit. That's
Not
bullshit.
appropriate. You know, I realize that that's your home, and I realize.
Yeah, that's right, and they don't live there,
And I don't either.
okay? And you guys are still always against it. You guys don't give a shit about Hickory Wood,
It's not.
okay? That is true. And if it is, you guys wouldn't be doing the stuff you're doing.
you need to get, you
That has
decide
nothing to do with me.
your personal problems need to stay
What
out of
personal problem, what problem do I have?
cussing like you
No,
were.
that's not cussing, you're looking at it, you're looking at a cuss.
That was not appropriate.
This day.
You don't, military career, you were not allowed to act like that. Why do you want to do it for civilians?
Because the military's in pretty good shape. You laugh all you want, laugh all you want, you
I
weren't there.
realize that you're never gonna let me listen talk to you in logic and fact. I understand. Logic is not part of your language.
Not me, not me. I just called for
I know I'll see you. Thank you.
Yes, and I was glad to see you got some help in your office there. I met her, it was Thursday, Tuesday night. Oh, okay. Richard. Oh, okay. Okay.
And then moves away and
Come back. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we're gonna enter back into session, please, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have a seat.
Let's put that on the consent agenda. We thinned out a little bit.
We are now in session, Mr. Bond, we still have a quorum, so we will continue.
The minutes need to show that there's a member absent.
Mr. Fisher has not returned from the break. I do not know where he intends to return or not. Do I have any more discussion on resolution 22-159?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion from Mr. Sutton to approve 22-159. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor? Any opposed?
I think we.
I think we voted on that.
Already done
We've
that.
already voted on it? Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
but it's,
I'm a little perplexed right now. Give me a minute. Resolution 22-160, amending the Village of Parks Phase 3 Subdivision Development Agreement dated September 6, 2022 for 103 lots to create separate agreements for Phase 3 57 lots and Phase 4 46 lots. Have a motion to hear.
So moved.
Mr. Hahn, Mr. Jay.
This is a request from the developer, as you said, Mayor, to divide the Phase 3 into two phases. If I may, this actually benefits the city in terms of our sewer situation and all. And the attorney has prepared the addendum that would do this.
Is a representative here for this?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Mr. Frazier, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you mind coming to the podium, please? Mr. Cates may have a question for you. I do have one. Mr. Cates.
I was just reading this. You decreasing the number of lots in Phase 3 from 103 to 57? Is it gonna move somewhere else?
No, sir, only thing we're doing is taking the existing phase and splitting it in half, which would make a Phase 4.
Oh, okay.
The numbers are not in half, but
I just saw where it was decreased that much.
we decreased Phase 3. So Phase 3 was 103,
Right,
and now Phase 3 will be 57.
right. So
Which
what,
will create a Phase 4,
so how many be in Phase 4, you know?
46.
Okay. That was my question. That was the only question I had.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry.
Mr. Frazier, would request that you do a little checking on your drivers. I've had multiple complaints about them, and I don't want to call you out and say it's your fault. I'm just asking you to check on them, on loading and unloading equipment on public streets.
Yes, sir, I already took care of that little problem.
If you'll do that, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
I got a question real quick.
Okay, Mr. Hunt.
So you said the Phase 4 is gonna have 57 or 46 lots?
46.
46.
Yes, sir.
So in essence, you're just delaying that second half being built.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Which will help us with our sewer water.
Yes.
I appreciate Mr. Frazier doing it.
Thank you.
Mr. Sutton, you have a question?
My question was, the original inspection fee and security amount was not provided. I know that would be a little over 55%, so is that how it was reduced? That would be 55% of the 103?
Can I make that? We're not asking for any of the fees back that we paid. We'll just move them to Phase 4 whenever we do it.
The fees have been paid in total.
But it says the inspection fee is stated be revised to,
Right.
on this.
That was done, Ken King and I, looked over that, and I think Ken probably talked to you, Paul, but they've already paid the money, and like Paul was saying, the amount that they paid, this sum will now be allotted to Phase 3, and when there's Phase 4, what the balance will then be allotted to Phase 4. So there won't be any money that will be refunded, to the developer at this time,
So this is just getting the proper money to the proper phase?
to the proper phase.
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Frazier?
Make a motion to pass.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a motion to pass,
Second.
resolution 22-160. Have a second from Mr. Duncan. All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on, resolution 22-161, authorizing a change order on purchase of Public Works knuckle boom truck in the amount of $3,800, fiscal year 2023 budget solid waste fund, which is where it would come from.
Make a
Have a
motion.
motion here.
Make a motion here.
Have a motion here. Mr. J.
We have an unusual situation, and a representative of River City Hydraulics is with us tonight. Last, I believe it was February or March, by Resolution 2218, the board awarded a bid for a new knuckle boom truck that we've talked about. The truck is complete and ready for delivery. During this interim period, Freightliner, the manufacturer of the chassis, sent a surcharge invoice of $3,800 to River City, and they have submitted that to us. I placed this on the agenda because, well, first off, it's a change order, but it's also highly unusual to have a change order on a bid. That said, I think everyone around this podium is well aware that many companies levied surcharges over the last year. So that's where we are. And as I said, the representative of the company is here tonight, Mayor.
We have a representative here.
Yes, sir.
Would you come forward, sir, and state your name and
Is this still within our budget?
That ain't the question. The question is,
Oh,
where's the
wow.
low bidder, where was the next bidder at?
If I'd have to go back and look for certain, but as I recall, were you the only bidder?
Right, I believe you guys actually approved it on the Sourcewell state contract bid, is what.
Yes, that's what it was.
Sourcewell, not a sealed bid.
Okay, sir, go ahead and tell us your reasoning for the change.
It is a Freightliner, surcharge, steel surcharge that they implemented in May. Anything built after May 23 of this year, with chassis being pushed back, were implemented a $3,800 steel surcharge. Mack has done it, Peterbilt, Kenwood. Freightliner was actually one of the last dealers to actually implement one, and they actually have the cheapest one. Mack, I've had to go around to several customers and have $8,000, $9,000, and $10,000 steel surcharge added to their equipment.
Was we notified of this before now?
I learned about it last week.
I actually contacted Mr. Harvey, when this came into effect. I came by and spoke with him. I admit I did not follow up with him afterwards about it, and I do apologize for that. I didn't learn of his, leaving until, I think, last month, when I spoke with the interim public works director about it. At that time, I honestly didn't even think about the surcharge. And I do apologize for it, that I didn't follow up with him on it.
The reason I don't understand is we ordered 100 new Peterbilt trucks this year at the company I work for. And we had a price quoted, and that was our price. And that's what we paid. Now, they are behind on delivery, just like you said. They're behind as well. We should have them all right now, we don't. We still like 30. But those 30, no matter when they come in, we're gonna pay the same price that we agreed to on our contract. And, you know, it's certainly not Rivers City's hydraulics problem that Freightliner didn't do that, but they allowed them to surcharge them evidently. And if River City should have had something in their contract with them for that price.
Did y'all?
I mean,
No, because I mean, they're gonna, Freightliner, Mack, Peterbilt, anybody, they're just gonna, if you're not gonna pay it, we're just gonna send it to the next dealer that will.
and that's Tag Truck Center, was that who you're dealing with?
Right, and they're the dealer, but I mean, it's not Tag Truck Center doing it, it's Freightliner, corporate, Daimler Chrysler is doing it. You know, it's not Tag Freightliner that's implementing the surcharge.
Can I make a comment, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I know that the school systems across Tennessee, because I'm a part of the network of school board attorneys, and this has been a common occurrence with school buses, where there have been instances where bids were accepted by school boards, and then the request from the low bidder to increase and pass along a cost for the buses is brought to the board. And there's no easy answer, at least for these school boards. They can obviously reject a bid. If it's been a multiple bid process, like Alderman Sutton said, you can go look at your next highest bid to see where that bid came in. But here I understand the bid was done through the state
Source well.
source well. So there would not have been an actual bid process. But you certainly have the option to cancel it and rebid it, but the problem is, will these cost increases be
More than,
reflected in your new bidding process? And it's just not, and I can tell you, these school boards are addressing the same issue. It's not an easy solution.
it took us 2 years to get this
Right at a year,
year.
If we don't pay the $3,800 to you, you're not gonna deliver the truck.
So, y'all are operating on less than a 4% profit margin?
We don't profit on the chassis. It's our
Well, you're
profit.
not, the difference is 95,454 in there, from the chassis was 82 something, subtracted from 177, 725, so your actual, cost percentage was 4.39%, less than 4%, on the difference between the 82,000 and the 177. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
So $3,800 is less than 4% of what it costs, what your charge is for the hydraulic.
Oh, I see, yes, no.
They give you a 4.6% increase on the 82. 3,800 is 4.6% of the 82,268,000. And so,
River City they won't absorb the surcharge from chassis manufacturers. Like I said, I've had to address several, boards and members on the same issue. They won't do it.
What are other boards doing?
They're passing it.
it's not that big a deal to us, sir. We've got a contract with our current waste company to provide this service to our citizens right now. And so it ain't something we have to have. We've got somebody under contract that is supposed to be picking up this stuff now. So it's not time pressing for us. They're not doing their job, but we talked about that already, pulling their bond till they start doing it. So, that's up to y'all. But I can tell you now that, first of all, I don't like the single source, that state bid, I like getting bids on stuff, so. I know what I get my trucks for, and I know we don't take increases after the agreement. And that's in our contract.
Well, the situation is this. Point blank. We either pay the $3,800 or he's not gonna deliver the truck. Do we need the truck? Obviously we did, or we wouldn't have bid it in the first place. Now the board needs to decide. If we go back and rebid it again, is it gonna be more than $3,800? You would know more about that than I do. I don't know.
Right now, it'd be 192 and some change on the exact same truck.
Instead of 177, be 192?
So, board needs to take that into consideration. I'll call for a motion. Ask for lack of motion, Mr. Nice, moving on.
Do we have anything up with our contract on that? Do we have any, for the attorney? We can't force River City to sell us for what we had a contract for?
I don't have the contract with me, no. You have the contract, not with me now.
Well, we need to look at that because we need to have them in court. If that's the case.
Can we table this to next month?
that
You can make
time.
a motion.
I make a motion to table it till we get more information, and then we can get back with him.
We have a motion. We have a motion now to table. Have a second for Mr. Sutton. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Sir, we'll,
Did they not put up a bid bond, Mr. Minor? When they bid on something, they had to put up a bid bond. Is that correct? And if they don't deliver for that contract, can we not call that bid bond?
Yeah, it was one source.
Did we sign a contract with? I mean, we've got to sign a contract.
We signed a purchase agreement.
Did they have to put up a bid bond?
No, it's because,
With the state? Did they put up one with the state?
now that I don't know.
Well, there's gotta be some, we need to figure that out. We need to figure out, we bid on the state contract, and that may keep us from doing this again on that state contract. But if we can't use the states, their bid bond with the state, then that's exactly why we need to take bids ourselves, because we would have repercussions against that.
okay. Mr. Tom, would you do a little research and the board is
I'll be in
tabling it for a
touch.
month and we'll get back to you at that time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask who made the second?
Second was for Mr. Sutton, I believe.
Yeah, I made the motion.
Another for Mr. Case, second for Mr. Sutton.
That was to table.
And that was the table, that's correct. All right, resolution 22-162, authorizing King Engineering agreement for subdivision inspection contract for Cross Creek Phase 3 subdivision. Motion to hear.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Hine. Mr. J.
As was pointed out earlier, this development goes back many years, and Mr. King Engineering was the engineer that reviewed the plans and all going forward, and therefore it's the staff's recommendation that we stay with King Engineering for the subdivision inspection on Phase 3 of Cross Creek.
Any questions?
How long has he been involved in this one?
I'm told from the beginning, when the original plat was submitted for going back to Phase 1, he's been involved from the beginning.
We ran into this before where he was involved in one, when we were talking about splitting this up, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite follow.
Didn't we have one come up, or two here a while back, that Mr. King was already
Yes,
involved with?
yes.
that-
I think it was Riverwood Gardens, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but you're correct, there was one just recently.
Do we know how many more he's involved in from the start till now?
Sir, it would be, Ed might be able to answer better. I would say probably a half a dozen.
I'm sorry.
How many subdivisions has King Engineering reviewed that are in process of the various phases?
Well, I've been here a year and they've been involved in all of them and, I mean, the newer ones, I'm having Cannon and Cannon
Oh, okay.
starting that process. And the idea is not to switch teams, not to switch the engineer halfway through the process because you have the institutional knowledge and we're slowly bringing Cannon and Cannon on. I want them to be involved at the start through a process. I think it'd be more seamless to do.
So they already involved in one or two now?
I'm already having them involved as we're starting to get that Riverdale PD. I'll have them involved in that process. Obviously, Windy Ridge and any other ones that we do have, I'm having Cannon.
What's your recommendation on this? Leave him on it?
For King Engineering, yes, sir.
Make a motion to pass it on his recommendation.
Have a motion to pass resolution 22-162. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Hahn. All in favor? Any opposed? Sutton opposes. Motion passes. Okay, consideration of business items.
Mayor, the two items we added.
Okay. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Moving on to, I don't have a resolution number for G. Ductwork on Town Hall.
Mayor and Alderman, while we were doing the contractor was doing the internet wiring up above, we became aware that we have an acute problem with dust and mold in the attic of this building. We also learned there are no air filters on the heating and air system in this building. It comes straight in and yet there's no air filters. We tried to obtain 3 quotes. We only received one from Duckman of Bartlett. It's in the amount of $6,000, and that is for both 170 Doss Street, this building, and 75 Clay Street. This would be charged general fund, general government account.
What is he gonna do with that 6,000? Just clean the bricks?
Clean all the HVAC ductwork and the units.
Gonna put a
How's
filter
that
in.
gonna help us if we don't have filters on?
We will have to go back and add the filters with an HVAC company, not him. He strictly does the cleaning.
So they don't have filters or place for filters at all.
That is my understanding. I've not been up there and looked at it personally, but I was told that there were no filters on that system. Above. Now, I don't know about Clay Street, but above there are none.
So, I may be digging deep here, but I'm leery of something. Here's what I'm leery of. We put funds in the budget we didn't have it in there, but we put it in the budget to allow us for remodeling of the annex building, which we are renting. I do not remember us putting any funds in the budget for working on the
This
current code office. And with our restrictions, I guess my question would be how we're not supposed to spend any thing that wasn't in the budget, is what my understanding was, that we could operate off our budget but not change our budget at this time.
I have a memo coming to the board tomorrow that will outline the various tasks that need to be done across the street. No work yet has been authorized. We have obtained quotes for that work for several tasks. Nothing's been all right. You are correct, it will require a budget amendment. But the city has owned Clay Street since December of 2004. To the best of my information, the only work the town has done on that house since we've owned it has been to put the ADA compliance ramp off the parking lot.
That's gotta have a place for a filter.
No, I'm not talking about, that's this building. I'm talking about Mr. Sutton's comment was across the street. And I'll point out to you, sir, and this is a preliminary guess, our estimate, we're probably looking at about $20,000 or $25,000 across the street.
I make a motion, we move into executive session.
Have a motion, move into executive session.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Somebody needs to tell me, do I need to go or not?
kick the door in. We're all there in. We don't have to do it tomorrow. We can do it Monday, Tuesday, whatever. Yeah, we need to make sure we're in the same page. It wasn't a Monday, Monday's fine. We've had seven, 8 different groups sign up already. I think we're gonna have about 20 to 30 by the end. Trying to get them, they just, you know, I don't know what happened, I know 3 years ago we had some, and they won't come back. I don't know what's going on. So we have reached out to Roswell, Fed Academy, and Fayette Ware to get their marching band or something to come in. The Fayette Ware wants their cheerleaders in, but I'm like, okay, I want to do Battle of the Bands, is what I was trying to sell, you know. You know, give a nice big trophy, you know, big cup out, you know, have Battle of the Bands. But, I don't know, they just don't see themselves. I know, but they act like, oh yeah, it's a great idea, and then they don't do it. Because, yeah, 3 years ago, reached out to them, I was on the board, supervisor board, and they're like, and then, you know, we kept waiting, and trying to deadline, and said, you know, we need to know today, yeah, we can't get all that, it's Thursday. But even if we get one, you know, that's a start. Next year, maybe get 2 more. And that's the crazy thing about it. 8 women. That's what the fall festival, the duo that they like down there singing. The duo that was singing down there. They're trying to get them. Maybe a couple $100 show up, sing a song about it.
Yes, sir. Ain't gonna be another time.
About 1:32, somebody, you wanna write it down, when we go back to
I know, I stay cold.
1 hour 32.
Okay. Yep. Y'all are having a duty.
We are back in session.
Yeah, I wanna make a motion that we accept the advice of town council in executive session.
Have a motion to accept council's advice.
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Cates. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to H.
Yes.
H was for me. H, I'm asking the board to consider changing the name of Cypress Creek Park to Cypress Keys Veterans Park.
I got a well, go ahead, I got a question.
Have a motion for Mr. Hahn. Have a second.
Yeah, of course.
If I second it, somebody can call for a vote without discussion.
Right.
I won't,
Okay, then you're right. Mr. Cates, what's your question?
what's the purpose of changing that?
To honor the veterans. That's exactly the only motive I have. I think it's a great opportunity for us to honor the veterans who do a lot of work down there and we do not honor our veterans in this community.
I just
That's
asked.
my,
I have no problem honoring the veterans. The only question I have is, I understood that was called Tomlin Park. And did they bequeath that land, or is it really technically did the board prior to us name that Tomlin Park? Did they give that land to be named did they have an agreement like we do on the other park?
I don't
We got
know.
an agreement.
We got it in writing with a lawyer on that, on the other
Is there not
part.
a sign down there that says Tomlin Park?
Now, what you got here is,
On the baseball.
at the middle school is Tomlin Field.
Tomlin Field. That'd be fine. I make a motion to approve, the name at Veterans Cypress Creek Park.
Okay,
And the sign on the school property would remain.
yes.
That's not open property, so.
That belongs to school.
The sign down at the park says Cypress Creek.
Yeah,
Right.
the other one's Thomas.
The city park
That's the
is
reason I
Cypress
asked
Creek.
that question.
Yes. Okay.
Confused.
There's no signage that says Tomlin at all that I've seen down there.
Okay.
All right, Chair. Mr. Kate,
Have
he
Mr.
motion.
Mr. Mon, you have a second, Mr. Duncan?
No, Vice Mayor, he second.
Okay. All right, Mr. Hahn made the motion. Mr. Sutton made the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, yeah. We need to look at getting that sign changed, Mr. Johnson,
Sure.
since you have an opportunity.
Yeah, all of this got.
All right. We have any business items, Mr. Johnson?
We have 3.
Okay,
They're all reports.
okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, the first one, I provided the board on the podium tonight two pieces of information. One is a timeline on the 2023 special census. This time is regulated by the state. We have to have the census complete for field verification by March 1st. We have to submit it to the state by May 15th for it to be certified by July 1st. To achieve those dates, their census forms will be mailed on January 3rd. We're hopeful that we can get online and mail returns in early, mid-January. We will begin knocking on doors, literally census takers going door to doors in late January, and we'll be running daily tallies. Also, the census is going to cost a little more than we originally estimated. I've got a proposed budget detail that we'll come back to you with when we get all the numbers, but it looks like the census is going to cost us between $40,000 and $50,000.
What did we budget for that?
40. It's going to cost a little more than that. Let me share with you the revenue that we will receive beginning July 1st of 2023 if the census is certified is $166.82 a person. As the vice mayor did a quick calculation, we're probably going to be between $250,000 and $300,000 additional revenue next year.
That's the difference between the 20 centers and this one?
Yes, sir. Again, I'll be bringing more information back to you. I will ask, particularly as we get closer to January, please talk to your neighbors, your friends, your coworkers, and encourage them to fill out the census form and return it. The more voluntary compliance we can get with people mailing the census back or going online, the fewer homes we'll have to knock on doors.
Do you have a deadline for all of it to be in?
It has to be finished by the last week of February.
February 28th?
Yes, sir. But we actually need it, the day or two before that so we can run the report. It has to go to Memphis Area Association of Governments on March 1st.
And it'll be put on the water bills and
Yes, sir.
social media and
Yes, sir.
Fayetteville.
Marilyn, sure appreciate it if you give us some publicity on that census. Okay, any other comments or questions on the census? Okay, moving on to B, Mr. Johnson.
I wanted to inform the board, as there's money budgeted for the holiday bonus in the amount of $500. Past practice has been that check would go out next week to the employees. If there's anything the board wants to change, we need to know it now.
They've been getting it for years. I don't know why we'd change it, so I'd make a motion that we'd go ahead with it.
I don't know why we have to.
We don't.
I don't, I just,
Oh, okay.
Just wanted to make everybody aware of what we were doing and at the time frame that we've always done.
Okay.
I got a comment.
Yes,
We
sir.
have some of the absolute best town employees. I've had the privilege of getting to know them. Merry Christmas.
All right.
How about have Thanksgiving first?
Okay, we're through with that, and, C, Mr. Johnson?
I would ask for a special meeting date of Thursday, December 1st at 7 PM. And the purpose of that meeting would be to swear in the new alderman.
On what date? What date?
December 1st.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Sutton to accept that date. We have a second.
Second.
Have a second. Commissioner
7
Case.
PM.
All in favor?
Uh,
Okay. Okay, I will tell you that I will have a photographer here. If any of you would like to have another picture made, in case you think you're better looking now than you were 2 years ago, Mr. Cates, I'll be glad to make you take a picture for you, but we will address that. Mr. Johnson?
If I may, this is not an action item at all. I sent a letter to the school system today regarding Oakland Elementary School and the sanitary sewer issues up there. I provided a copy to you so you'll know about it.
All right. Any other items of business?
make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, wait a minute. Not yet. I'd love to. Do we have any credit applications, Mrs. Bond?
None.
Mrs. Bond, do we have any invoices?
Yes, unfortunately, we have 12 invoices, all are over 45 days.
Motion to approve the invoice.
Have a motion to approve the invoices. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor? Mr. Gates,
Make a motion to adjourn.
we are adjourned.
I have authority to proceed with that mold removal. I have authority to proceed with that mold removal. Well, you know what I mean?
Cypress Creek is nothing to do with the Thomas. There's no sign there. The idea is to change the name of Veterans Park, or Cypress Creek Veterans Park. And then we want to put the sign up.
It would have been better.
Hey. No. Oh, shoot, I forgot to. We got it. The elementary, we got it.
All right. Oh, yes, sir. All right, and thank you.
No, there'll be nothing done except swear them in and we expect them to have my check. That's all it is. Unless you want to come up and see some pictures, man, then it's.